What's going on, everybody? Last NASCAR fan here, and welcome to what is one of my biggest pet peeve projects, which is going through my entire NASCAR Winston Cup Series 164 sets from 1990 till 2003. So we're going to begin with the 1990 cars. Bill Elliott in the youth, Melling Ford, Melling Racing. AJ Foyt before he quit Cup and then came back to Cup in 2003. Morgan Shepherd for Bud Moore. Larry Pearson, censored, supposed to have Chattanooga Chew on there. Late Rob Moroso, that's a Racing Champions promo. Ken Schrader, youth version, supposed to say Kodiak. Brett Bodine for Kenny Bernstein, then got Rusty Wallace, Miller Genuine Draft. Michael Waltrip for Bahari Racing, Maxwell House Country Time Pontiac, that's a promo. Kyle Petty, Peak Antifreeze, really need a new one. Jimmy Meehan's unsponsored, he also ran with Alka-Seltzer later in the year. 1990 J.D. McDuffie, Sons Auto Supply. This was actually a 1994 release, but this is based off the 1970 car, 3 years after McDuffie's death. Jim Sauter, Evan Roode, Outboards. And then Chuck Bones, number 97, Kellogg's Cornflakes Chevrolet. This was exclusive to a 6-pack RC promo line. Alrighty, let's head on over to 1991. Sorry guys, before we move on to 1991, I forgot a 1990 card that was in my 91 set by accident. Number 94, Sterling Marlin, Sunoco for Billy Hagan. But, yep, forgot to put that over there. And we'll see you in the 1991 season. After a short delay, on to 1991. Got starting off with Rick Mast's number 1, Magic. Number 2, Rusty Wallace. Unsponsored, but it's supposed to say Miller. 1991, Alan Kowicki, Army Ford. That ran Daytona 500. But then once he rolled into Atlanta with a unsponsored number 7, Hooters would jump on board after Kowicki qualified 8th. Mark Stahl, who originally had the Hooters sponsorship, DNQ'd, and Hooters jumped on board with Kowicki, and the rest is pretty much history. Bill Elliott with the Coors Light Ford Melling entry. I replaced my youth version because I was really happy to see that they actually did that. Beer and tobacco sponsors were made in the Racing Champions line. They're just very hard to find nowadays. Derek Cope, number 10, Bob Whitcomb, Purolator car, that's pretty cool. Number 11, Jeff Bodine, Baby Ruth, it's supposed to say Budweiser on there, that's for Junior Johnson. Hud Strickland, number 12, Ray Bestos for Bobby Allison Racing. Morgan Shepherd, number 15 for Bud Moore before he went to Wood Greg Saxon, number 18, Navy, Diamond Ridge Racing, that attempted Daytona 500. Number 19 of Chad Little, the Tyson Chicken Ford. Very common car, actually. Dale Jarrett, number 21, Wood Brothers Citgo. It's pretty cool. Number 22, Sterling Marlin, Maxwell House Ford. It's a Junior Johnson car, actually. Yeah, that's a Junior Johnson car. Number 23 of Eddie Birchdale, Racing for Cure. This is a Fun Stuff car. Ran both Cup and Busch. Then we got Mickey Gibbs for Team 3, or Team the Third, or I think it was called Team the Third. But this is the Air Force car. This ran Daytona as well in the 500. Michael Waltrip brought in Pennzoil for Bahari Racing. They kept running the Pontiacs right after Country Time Lemonade left. Harry Gant and the Skull Bandit Oldsmobile, and this is actually a knockoff mold, but it's so well detailed. You can just awe in it. Number 41, Greg Sachs, Larry Hendrick entry that he ran later in the year. Kyle Petty, Mellow Yellow. Richard Petty, STP Pontiac. This was a Fun Stuff car. Ted Musgrave, Jasper Engines. Cale Yarbrough, 66. Phillips, 66. Yarbrough never drove this car, though. He would have people like Dick Trickle and a few others. I can't think off the top of my head. On to TriStar, though, who would get the Country Time sponsorship. Bobby Hamilton would run Oldsmobiles early in the season, but then they would branch out and try other manufacturers like Pontiac, for example. They ran that at the 1991 Richmond race. J.D. McDuffie, Sons Auto Supply Medford Speed. J.D. McDuffie ended up passing away at Watkins Glen in 91. Throttle hung and sent him right into the wall immediately at impact. This is when NASCAR implemented the bus stops from then on at Watkins Glen. Dave Marcus, U.S. Coast Guard, that ran Daytona 500. Then we got the Big Apple Market. That was his primary for the majority of the season. Joe Ruttman, Food Lion, Dinner Bell. Fun Stuff car. Mark Stahl, who lost his Hooters sponsorship, had diecast produced. It's his Graphics Plus Autobell Car Wash. That was another Fun Stuff. That was the last year of Fun Stuff as well. They would leave the diecast industry very quick. They only lasted for 1 to 2 years, and I'll show you later on with the 1992 stuff because I got a few fun stuff from there. Buddy Baker, number 88 Marines, Die Guard, Daytona 500 entry. Die Guard would close at the end of the year. And then we have Jimmy Spencer's number 98 Food City. That was owned by Travis Carter. Yep. On to 1992. On to 1992 cars. Start off with Rusty Wallace's Pontiac Excitement. Another kind of youth car. Dale Earnhardt, GM Goodwrench, Chevrolet. This is when you started to see contingencies more often on the later Racing Champion releases, especially Ernie Irvin Kodak film for Morgan McClure. Ricky Rudd, Tide Ultra, that's a 92 car. There is a 1991 car that's only exclusive via the Tide 3-pack commemorative series. We'll eventually get that in the future for the 1991 set specifically. Mark Martin, number 6, Valvoline Ford Thunderbird. Alan Kulwicki in the Underbird as well with the Hooters restaurants. Dick Trickle for Stavola Brothers in the Snickers Mars car. This is Mars' first appearance, pretty much, in NASCAR. Chad Little, who replaced Bill Elliott at Melling Racing, would take over the 9, but would also almost get replaced by Andy Belmont. And that's going to be coming up in the later on. Derek Cope, number 10. Bob Wood, come pure later. This is the 92 car. Bill Elliott, unsponsored, number 11. Budweiser car, pretty much. Jeff Bodine took over Morgan Shepherd's ride at Bud Moore. Darrell Waltrip took his own left Hendrick completely and formed his own race team, his own cup team. Dale Jarrett with the inaugural Joe Gibbs Racing. Mike Wallace in the First Aid Sports Drink. This actually ran both Cup and Busch. Morgan Shepherd moved over to Wood Brothers in the 21 after Jarrett went to Joe Gibbs. Sterling Marlin in the number 22 Maxwell House Ford Thunderbird. That's a Revell. Davey Allison, number 28 Haviline. Number 30 Michael Waltrip, Pennzoil Bahari. Bobby Hillen in the number 31 Ireland car. Team owner, I guess, was really angry about something in technical inspection and then basically never made another start for his team ever again. Pretty much quit. The team pretty much quit Winston Cup Racing by then. Number 43, Richard Petty, fan appreciation car. Well, tour, especially for his final 1992 year. That's a Matchbox release, though. However, though, we got a very interesting Matchbox release, and it's the number 48 of James Hilton in the Medford Speed Shop car. That once donned J.D. McDuffie's car. Here's a cool Fun Stuff release, though, that I was talking about. This was the last year of Fun Stuff. Jimmy Means, number 52, Taco Bell. I believe this is an Oldsmobile. This is a pretty awesome car as well. You cannot go wrong with this car at all. Number 55, Ted Musgrave, Freedom Village. As I was talking about Andy Belmont, Andy Belmont almost took over the 9 ride at Melling Racing, but he continued to drive for his own team. Eventually, Racing Champions made his FDP Brakes car in the line. The Kill Yarborough racing cars, pretty much driven by both Chad Little, Dick Trickle, and then later in 92, Jimmy Hensley would drive the 66 as well for a bit in 1993 before the death of Alan Kulwicki. Dave Marcus returning sponsorship of Big Apple Market, but then he would also be sponsored by Food Lion for the Coca-Cola 600, where Marcus would finish 15th overall. Lake Speed in the number 83 Purex, that's a promo. Terry Labonte for Billy Hagan, and then Jimmy Spencer's number 98 Molly Black Gold Chevrolet. It's another Travis Carter car. But, yep, on to 1993. On to 1993 cars now. Started off with Rusty Wallace, Pontiac Excitement. Pretty sure it's supposed to be a Miller car. So, youth version, pretty much. Dale Earnhardt, Good Wrench. Arnie Irvin, Kodak Film. And then another Ricky Rudd tie. Almost like the same thing. Then you get to Alan Kulwicki's Hooters, but then Alan's unfortunate death from the plane crash, which resulted in Jimmy Hensley taking over driver duties of the number 7 for Alan Kulwicki Racing under Felix Sabatz, who managed Kulwicki's estate. The Easter Seals card that ran New Hampshire. The Hands ran Charlotte for the Coca-Cola 600. This Matchbox one ran Dover. Family Channel actually ran Sonoma with Tommy Kendall. Purelator, I believe that was New Hampshire. The Matchbox USA Bobsled Project was Pocono. The Family Channel was Falls, Charlotte, I believe. And then the Cellular one, I think that one was Richmond. I might have that one flipped around, though. I'm only missing the Bobsled Project one. Then I got all the number 7s for 1993, which is actually pretty good. And over to the number 8 of, Sterling Marlin. Marlin ran for Stavola Brothers for a year and then left afterwards. Bill Elliott, number 11 Budweiser. And you got Jimmy Spencer. I think that's Jimmy Spencer. Just want to make sure it's Jimmy Spencer. Oh, yeah, it's Jimmy Spencer. Jimmy Spencer, Meinke for Bobby Allison Racing. Terry Labonte, number 14, Kellogg's Cornflakes. Wally Dallenbach Jr. Youth version. I really need to find a Keystone Beer one. That would be real nice. Real nice. Darrell Waltrip, number 17. Joe Ruttman, number 20. That's a promo single card version. Morgan Shepherd, Sitco. Jeff Gordon in his first full-time rookie season. I got Ken Schrader's youth car. Hud Strickland's number 27, Junior Johnson McDonald's. Davey Allison before his death as well from his helicopter crash after he died from his injuries. And then Neil Bonnet's last ever race he ever ran, which would be Talladega in the Mom and Pop's 31 RCR car. Did wreck, and then unfortunately he would pass away at Daytona in 94 during a practice crash. Number 41, Phil Parsons, Mannheim Auctions for Larry Hendrick. Rick Wilson, who took over Richard Petty's ride, rebranded to the 44, was so bad he was replaced for Jimmy Hensley. Well, not really. Wilson got injured. Hensley was out of his ride at what was Alan Kulwicki Racing in the later half of 93 after Jeff Bodine took over the team and he left Bud Moore. And Hensley would actually drive the 44 for the remainder of 1993. Dave Marcus in the High Point Betting STG. And then you have the Enix Custom Catering, Mannheim, Pennsylvania. That's a Matchbox exclusive. Bobby Hillen Jr. in the number 90 Hillig Myers Furniture for Junie Donlavey. And then Derek Cope in the number 98 Bojangles Ford Thunderbird. This is a Cale Yarborough racing car after they renumbered from 66 to 98. Man, this is a good car. I was really sad when this Derek Cope's throwback that he was running himself for, I think, Starcom, lost to, of course, William Byron's Jeff Gordon scheme. It's like you had both of these schemes, and everyone voted for Byron instead of... I voted for Cope. I tried going for the underdog. I thought that would have been nice. Too bad. Well, on to 1994. On to 1994 diecast. Go right in. Got Rick Mast, the Precision Products Racing. Well, it's supposed to have Skull Bandit on there. This is a Lionel version of Rusty Wallace's Miller Genuine Draft. Early Action, Dale Earnhardt, GM Goodwrench. Racing Champions, Terry Labonte, Kellogg's Cornflakes. Racing Champions, Premier, I wouldn't say Premier, but Rubber Tires. Mark Martin Valvoline. Jeff Bodine, X-Side Batteries. Jeff Burton for Stavola Brothers and the Ray Bestos Ford Thunderbird. Ricky Rudd, first year as a team owner. That's the Tide Ride. Bill Elliott's number 11 Budweiser Ford Junior Johnson. John Andretti's Kanawha Insurance, number 14, took over Terry Labonte's ride. Lake Speed and the Bud Moore Ford Quality Care Thunderbird. Ted Musgrave replaced Wally Dallenbach after 93. Brought in the Family Channel sponsorship, which left the former Alan Kowicki team. Darrell Waltrip in the Western Auto Chevrolet. Dale Jarrett in the Interstate Battery Chevrolet. Loy Allen, who brought back Hooters, who DNQ'd 8 times in the beginning of 1993. Randy LaJoie in the number 24 Moroso. I think Dick Moroso was. Bobby Labonte in the number 22 Maxwell House. This was Bill Davis's, I think, first time. Yeah. Number 26, Brett Bodine, Quaker State Ford Thunderbird. Second to last year of the Kenny Bernstein operations. Jimmy Spencer for Junior Johnson's, number 27. In the McDonald's Thunderbird. Won 2 races that year. July Daytona and Talladega. Ernie Irvin in the number 28 Havoline Ford Thunderbird would take over the 28 after the death of Davey Allison. And then Irvin would be injured and replaced with Dale Jarrett. Michael Waltrip for Bahari Racing in the number 30 Pennzoil. Harry Gant's final season in Winston Cup. It's the unsponsored but blank Skull Bandit number 33 for Mach 1. Number 40, Bobby Hamilton, Senior, Kendall Motor Oil for Felix Sabatz, I believe. Joe Nemechek in the Mine Key Larry Hendricks Chevrolet. It's a Matchbox car. Kyle Petty, the Mellow Yellow Pontiac for Felix Sabatz. Wally Dallenbach in the number 43 STP Pontiac. He would take over and do 1 season with Petty Enterprise before he would be sacked, I believe, after 95. And then we have Bobby Hillen in the number 44 Bus Fuses Ford Thunderbird. Cool car. Robert Presley in the Mannheim Auctions, number 54 Chevrolet. Whoops. I was going to say that might have been in the wrong slot. because I wanted to talk about this bad boy, but also the late Neil Bonnet in the Country Time Chevrolet for Phoenix Racing. Curtis Markham, number 63 Lysol Pontiac. Curtis Markham's actually a current mechanic for Joe Gibbs Racing still. He's with the team. Todd Bodine for the number 75 Factory Stores of America. Ford Thunderbird for Butch Mock's team. And then Dirk Hope would have Fingerhut as sponsorship after Bojangles left after the 1994 season. On to 1995 stuff. Got the 4 of Sterling Marlin, both the Kodak film and Kodak film Delco battery for Morgan McClure. Terry Labonte, Garner Nevins promo from 1995. Very interesting. Mark Martin's primary Valvoline and his Brickyard 400 Valvoline. Number 7 of Jeff Bodine, the Exide Batteries Ford Thunderbird. And then we got Jeff Burton's early Stavola and later season Stavola. Only thing that changed pretty much was the roof number, which was changed to an orange. Lake Speed for Melling Racing in the number 9 Spam. That's a promo version. Ricky Rudd in the 10 Tide. Dirk Cope in the main and tail for Bobby Allison Racing. Ted Musgrave Family Channel for the 95 season, of course. Darrell Waltrip Western Auto. Bobby Labonte joins Joe Gibbs Racing in 1995 after departing from Bill Davis Racing. Morgan Shepherd's final year with Wood Brothers as well. Randy LaJoie took over the 22 for Bill Davis Racing. Jeff Gordon's first Winston Cup championship was 1995 as well. Love this paint scheme. Dirt legend Steve Kinzer would come over to the Winston Cup Series and drove Kenny Bernstein's team to bankruptcy. Loy Allen would bring the 27, would take over the 27 after Jimmy Spencer left. For Junior Johnson, brought over the Hooters sponsorship, but didn't fare well to his performance. Dale Jarrett in the 28 Havoline Ford Thunderbird. After departing from Joe Gibbs Racing, he joins Robert Yates Racing, and the rest is history, pretty much. Steve Grissom for Diamond Ridge Motorsports and the Mine Key Discount Mufflers Chevrolet. I love that paint scheme because it's just super... I think it's just super basic, but it's just a good paint scheme overall. John Andretti in the Kmart Little Caesars Ford Thunderbird. This is a Clausen Muffer. It's Clausen something. But this is basically the early Penske Clausen Huffer entry in a nutshell. Ricky Craven's Youth Larry Hendrick Motorsports. Supposed to have Kodiak on there. Kyle Petty Coors Light Pontiac. It's pretty nice. Bobby Hamilton's 1995 STP Pontiac. Jeff Purvis's Jackaroo Barbecue Sauce. It's a good paint scheme. Todd Bodine's Butch Mock number 75. Factory Stores of America. And the Kenny Wallace TIC Financial Systems. Joe Nemechek's first time running Winston Cup. Ran full-time with the Burger King sponsorship. He would run in both 95 and 96. Ernie Irvin coming back from injury with basically one eye. Tested the 88 at North Wilkesboro. Didn't make the show due to rain. And eventually he and Jarrett would swap car numbers for the following year. Mike Wallace for Junie Donlavey. Pretty cool car. The Bill Elliott Batman Forever. This version is incorrect, though. Hot Wheels has the only correct version, to my knowledge. And then David Green's Busch Beer Chevrolet. This was actually ran in the Busch Shootout because David Green was the Winston Cup champion of 1994. I believe this was the last year they allowed Busch Series champions into the Busch Clash. But, yeah. On to 1996. On to the 1996 cars. First off, we'll start with the first custom of the group, a 03 Joe Bean Monte Carlo. This ran only a few times in 96, but was infamous for stalling during the Suzuka exhibition race in Japan. We have the Jackson team with Rick Mast and Hooters, pretty cool. Rusty Wallace's Miller, Genuine Draft. The Dale Earnhardt 1996 Summer Olympics in Atlanta. Sterling Marlin in the number 4 Kodak Film Doco Battery. Morgan McClure. Terry Labonte Cornflakes. Honey Crunch, Revell. Iron Man, which ran North Wilkesboro and won. And then this is the Suzuka special as well. Mark Martin's Valvoline Ford Thunderbird. Got the regular Valvoline, and then if you can tell by it, different brand, different sponsor on the side. That's Durablend. So the one on the right is the Valvoline Durablend. Jeff Bodine QVC Ford Thunderbird, pretty cool. Hut Strickland Circuit City Ford Thunderbird. Those are racing champions. Ricky Rudd, Revell. This is the Tide Ford Thunderbird. Jeff Bodine, number 11, Lowe's Ford Thunderbird. He would actually buy the team after this season from Junior Johnson. Derek Cope in the Badcock Mane and Tail Ford Thunderbird. This was the last year for Bobby Allison Racing before they closed as well. Jeff Green, Racing for Kids Magazine Chevrolet. This is a DEI second car. Actually, first car, excuse me. The first DEI Cup car ever. Wally Dellenbach Jr. for Bud Moore in the Hayes Modems Ford Thunderbird. This is a very rare Racing Champions car to come by, I guess. Surprisingly. Ted Musgrave, Family Channel Prime Star Ford Thunderbird. Prime Star would eventually take over sponsorship on the 16 in 1998. Yeah, 1998. Yeah, 98. Darrell Walter at Western Auto Parts America Chevrolet. It's a Revell. Bobby Labonte, Interstate Batteries. And then you have the Joe Gibbs Pro Football Hall of Fame. Fun fact, the helmet that Bobby Labonte wore is actually at Kroll's bar in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Pretty cool piece, though. Loy Allen's health source Ford Thunderbird, but not driven by Loy. Instead, Dick Trickle drove it, as it says on the back, upside down, hurry back Loy. Pretty cool. Michael Waltrip Sitco Ford Thunderbird, and then we have the Star Trek First Contact. Pretty cool. Ward Burton takes over at Bill Davis Racing in the MBNA sponsorship. Randy LaJoy would leave during 95. There's Jeff Gordon's DuPont Chevrolet, and then we have the youth Ken Schrader. Need to get a Budweiser one soon. Diamond Ridge, Steve Grissom, Cartoon Network Wacky Racing Flintstones, and then we have the Scooby-Doo version. John Andretti's Kmart Little Caesars Ford Thunderbird for Klausenhofer Penske. Then we have Jay Sauter's First Union Chevrolet. This was a baggy promo, very rare to come by. Ricky Craven's number 41. Kodiak Chevrolet. This is a Matchbox White Rose Collectibles promo. Kyle Petty Coors Light Pontiac. That's an action car. Bobby Hamilton Sr. 25th anniversary of STP. Partnership with Petty Enterprise. Fun fact, Thad Moffitt did a throwback to that scheme last year, and the diecast will be coming out, I think, in the February 16th report. That was just shown. And then we have the Bobby Hamilton 1972, 1979, and 84 STP commemorative schemes. Here's another custom as well, 1996 Jack Sprague Pedigree Pontiac. This was used with the 1999 Ernie Irvin Pedigree car. Pretty easy custom to do, though, apparently. So, sent a donor and saved a bunch of money on it. I'll take it. Dave Marcus Prodigy Chevrolet. That's pretty cool. I like how it has Circuit City on the back for Dave Marcus. I think the Circuit City sponsorship on the decklet is just so interesting. Joe Nemechek's Burger King Chevrolet. This would be Nemco's second year in the Cup Series before they would just run part-time in Cup until around 2009 when they tried going full-time again. Dale Jarrett's Quality Care Service. They joined with Robert Yates, Dale Jarrett, and Ernie Irvin swapped numbers, though. Irvin went to the 28, Jarrett went to the 88. And then we got Bill Elliott's McDonald's Ford Thunderbirds. I'm not sure about this one. One of my buddies, Ricky, said this was a 1995 car, but I couldn't find any photos of a later McDonald's version running. So I think this is either ran in 96 or this was a early concept for the regular scheme. So that's interesting. 1996 McDonald's Monopoly. I love that promotion. And then we have the Bill Elliott Harry Gant car. So Elliott was injured and Harry Gant filled in at Talladega. That's why they have Harry Gant's driver name on the name rail. Chad Little's own Cup team with the Sterling Cowboy sponsorship before John Deere came on. And this I thought was a 1997, but apparently it's a 1996 because it says 1997 Preview Edition. Anytime this says Preview Edition, it's based off the year prior. So this is the 1996 Jeff Burton X-Side Batteries Ford Thunderbird. But that's it for 1996. Let's move on to 1997. On to 1997 stuff, which we got a lot to go through to make it a lot easier. Morgan Shepherd's number 1, R&L Carriers Pontiac for Jackson. Rusty Wallace Miller Lite. Texas, 25 years in racing. Suzuka. And then we got Dale Seniors, Jim Goodwrench, All-Star, or Winston Wheaties. Later ran Goodwrench Plus, and then the AC Delco that ran at Suzuka. Sterling Marlin Kodak film, and then we have the Kodak Gold film, that's a Hot Wheels version. Terry Labonte Cornflakes, Honey Crunch, that's a Garner Nevins, Tony the Tiger, and then we have the Kellogg's Spooky Fruit Loops from the Monsters franchise, Universal. Jeff Bodine's QVC and 24-Hour Gold Rush version, that one's Racing Champions. Hut Strickland Circuit City Ford Thunderbird. It's from the Pro Racing Hot Wheels line. Ricky Rudd Tide, and then we have the Tide Mountain Spring. Brett Bodine, Close Call Sweepstakes. Steve Park DEI, part-time Burger King entry in the 14. Daryl Waltrip, Western Autos Parts America. Last year of the sponsorship, you had the kind of 25th anniversary of Daryl Waltrip in the sport. That's the chrome version, did run like that. And we have each our tributes to Daryl's older schemes, such as his Gatorade Die Guard scheme, Junior Johnson Mountain Dew scheme, Junior Johnson Pepsi Challenger scheme, and then Junior Johnson Budweiser scheme, and then his Hendrick Tide entry from 89, Bobby Labonte's Interstate Batteries, and then the inaugural Texas Interstate Batteries 500. Pretty cool. This is one of the most interesting racing champions that was produced for the Cup, and along with another one that I'm going to show later on for the 1997 stuff, but Gary Bradbury's Child Support Recovery International. I think this is one of the coolest backmarker teams offered for 1997 in general. Michael Waltrip's Citgo, and then you have the Citgo alternate. It's not really a reverse, more alternate. There's the Top Dog, Ward Burton, MBNA America, and then you have the gold one. Jimmy Spencer, Camel. This is a Travis Carter. Jeff Gordon, DuPont. And then you got the Chroma Premier, the $1 million Winston version. Ricky Craven, Budweiser. Rich Bickle, KFC Chevrolet. That's a second Daryl Waltrip Incorporated car that tempted the Brickyard 400. Bickle did make the race but crashed. Kenny Irwin, part-time entry for Robert Yates Racing. Mostly Tonka, G.I. Joe sponsorship. There was a winner's circle one that was also going to be made but was canceled at the last second. I've seen prototype version images of the car. I can share those if anyone's interested in looking at them. Ernie Irvin, number 28, Haviland Ford Thunderbird, and then the Davey tribute. Robert Presley, Diamond Ridge Motorsports, Scooby-Doo, and Tom and Jerry Cartoon Network Wacky Racing. The fun fact about this one is that the 1997 scheme has, instead of the Mummy, it has Velma on the right side. I didn't know that, so the one that I had originally was just a 1997 preview edition based off the 1996 car. So, yeah, you never know. Bahari Racing, before they shut down and it was bought by Eel River Racing. That's Johnny Benson's Pennzoil Pontiac before he went to Roush the next year. Mike Skinner in his first full-time year in Cup. The Lowe's Chevrolet, and then you have the Apron. You have the Apron Lowe's. That one's Suzuka. That one was ran in Suzuka. Excuse me. Ken Schrader, number 33. Andy Petrie entry, pretty cool. Skull Bandit. Revell version. Early Todd Bodine Tabasco Pontiac. This ran in 97 apparently. I didn't know about that actually. 1997 Derek Cope Skittles Pontiac for MB2 Motorsports. Cool version. Pretty much the same identical scheme for 98 as well. Jeremy Mayfield's Kmart RC Cola Ford Thunderbird, and then the Kmart Kids Race Against Drugs. That was ran in the All-Star Open. This is actually the Penske Klausenheimer car that would become the next Penske entry in the future. Robbie Gordon, Coors Light Chevrolet, and the Silver Bullet. Silver Bullet ran a little later. Ran the night race at Charlotte. Pretty cool, though. Steve Grissom, number 41, Kodiak for Larry Hendrick. Number 42, Joe Nemechek, the Bell South, and then the 1-800 Bell South that ran later in 97. Bobby Hamilton, STP Pontiac, and then we have the Goodies 20th anniversary scheme. I believe the 20th anniversary scheme ran Martinsville. Kyle Petty Hot Wheels, and then the Kyle Petty 500 starts that ran at the Brickyard 400. Wally Dallenbach in the first Union Chevrolet, and then the Woody Woodpecker ran in Suzuka. Dave Marcus, number 71, Realtree Camouflage. It's a cool action card. Then this is the other back marker Racing Champions car I think is one of the best from 1987, and it's Randy LaJoie's Fina Chevrolet. Apparently this was ran in Winston Cup, so pretty cool. Rick Mast Remington, Stren, and Remington Camouflage, pretty cool cars. Kenny Wallace Square D Ford Thunderbird, that's a Biaggi sponsored team car. Dale Jarrett Quality Care Service, that's another Robert Yates car. Number 91, Mike Wallace, it's the Spam Chevrolet for Joe Falk. Number 94, Bill Elliott, the McDonald's and the Mac tonight. We got David Green's number 96 Caterpillar Chevrolet, it's a pretty cool car. Chad Little's John Deere Pontiac, and then the John Deere 25th anniversary car. Those are pretty cool. Chad Little would join Roush the season following. Number 98, John Andretti RCA Ford Thunderbird for Cale Yarborough Racing. And then Jeff Burton's number 99 Exide Batteries Ford Thunderbird for Roush Racing. On to 1998. We welcome you back now to the 1998 cars that we will be going through. 00 Buckshot Jones Aquafresh Pontiac that attempted a few races during 1998 Winston Cup. And then we have the ones of Steve Park and Darrell Waltrip. Park got injured, remember, and then Darrell Waltrip took over remaining driver duties of the one. Have the reverse scheme. Dale Jr. drove the one as well, but only at Suzuka for the exhibition race. Rusty Wallace Miller Light primary. Then we have the Elvis scheme that ran Las Vegas. Adventures of Rusty that ran, I think, Fontana. Then we have the second Elvis scheme. I forgot where that ran. Get me in the comments on that one. Dale Earnhardt Plus, Good Wrench Plus, aka the Daytona 500 scheme. Correct version, actually made the correct version. And then we have the Bass Pro Shops that ran the Winston, and then the Coca-Cola scheme that ran Suzuka for the exhibition. Bobby Hamilton, Kodak Max Film, and Kodak Gold Film, both racing champions. Terry Labonte Cornflakes, Corny, kind of like a mixture. It's basically most starts for Terry, and then the Blasted Fruit Loops, that's a Revell version. Mark Martin Valvoline, Sin Power, and then the Eagle 1. Pretty good cars. On to the first 1998 custom, Jeff Bodine's number 7 unsponsored Ford Taurus that he ran in the Bud Shootout. Hud Strickland, number 8 Circuit City, standard and reverse for Stavola, the last year of Stavola Brothers before Dale Earnhardt bought the team to have another entry for DEI for the following season. Lake Speed. Sorry. Thought it was. Yeah, that's what I thought. Because there's actually two versions of this. There's a Lake Speed version, and then there's a Jerry Nadeau version. Jerry Nadeau version was exclusive to the 12 car sets usually. So we have both Lake Speeds, Cartoon Network, Wacky Racing Cars, the Birthday Bash, and then the other Cartoon Network Wacky Racing part. Jerry Nadeau then took over the 9 after being let go from the 13, which we'll get onto later. We have the Scooby-Doo Zombie Island orange number, Powerpuff Girls correct version, Action only produced the correct version, and then we have the Zombie Island purple number, which was an Action exclusive. Ricky Rudd Tide, and then we have the Give Kids the World, Brett Bodine Paychecks Ford Taurus, that the gold one in the first one right there, that one ran Daytona for the 500. And then he ran the regular primary for the rest of the year. Jeremy Mayfield, number 12, Mobile One Ford Taurus for Penske Klausman. Jerry Nadeau, First Plus Loans Ford Taurus. This was a second Bill Elliott racing car, but it was also partly owned by Dan Marino after he retired from his professional football career from being quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. What's interesting, though, about the Nadeau is that the deck lid sponsor has both a white and then there's like a silver and a silver black on the other one. Very interesting to see. Daytona 500 entry, Loy Allen for Bud Moore, the Rescue Engine Formula Ford Taurus. Decals for this one were commissioned by Billy Kingsley, fun fact. Ted Musgrave, Prime Star Ford Taurus. Then Musgrave was let go for Kevin LePage, who took over the ride. And Racing Champions would make that one later on. Darrell Waltrip, Speedblock Chevrolet. And then after they fell out, after they stopped paying the bills, Darrell Waltrip would run a Tim Flock special for Darlington. Originally, he was supposed to have the number 300. NASCAR regulations told him he couldn't have 3-digit numbers, so they changed it to 17. But however, the 17 version was never made. They only made the 300 version, which is pretty much this one. Decals for both the Bodine and the 17 Waltrip Darlington were from overseas, actually, and they're not Patos. So, yeah, pretty cool. Very unique. Bobby Labonte, Interstate Batteries. And then, whoops, one row too quick. The Interstate Batteries Hot Rod Magazine. Small Soldiers, that ran Fall Daytona because it was pushed. Tony Raines, Yellow Transportation Ford Taurus. This ran a few Cup races. Michael Waltrip Sitco with the 50th anniversary on the deck lid. And then we have the Sitco deck lid and then the blank deck lid. And then the, what the fuck is this? Oh yeah, this one's the Boys and Girls Club of America. Ward Burton MBNA America. Jimmy Spencer Noble with the white and red rooftop. And then we have the white rooftop for Jimmy Spencer's Noble. Jeff Gordon DuPont with the driver and with a little figurine in there. Winner's Circle was very common for doing that. And then we have the Chrome car. William Byron did a throwback to this back in 2023, I think it was. It was 2023. He did a throwback that too because it was the 75th anniversary of NASCAR. Yeah, that was. Jeff Gordon, 1998 Winston Noble scheme with the orange number. Pretty cool. Bud Shootout, John Andretti, number 25. Pretty cool how it says Bud Shootout. What's the thing, though, is that this was the only time they ran the 25 for a non-points playing race because they would switch to 50 for the 50th anniversary. Budweiser chose for that. Johnny Benson, Cheerios Ford Taurus, after he left Bahari Racing. Benson would join with Jack Roush and bring in another new entry and have Cheerios brought on board. General Mills itself, Cheerios, Trix, Betty Crocker, all had diecast for 1998. Kenny Irwin, full-time in 1998 season, Haviline, and then you have the Joker scheme that ran fall October. Derek Cope for Eel River Racing. The Goomout Life Long Life Formula. This the first one's the early version, and then the one with the deck lid sponsors is the later ran version. Onto the 31s of Mike Skinner, the regular primary low, Special Olympics, and then the Cobalt that ran Twin Motogai. Twin Motogai. It ran the Japan exhibition. Ken Schrader Skull Bandit Chevrolet Bud Shootout version with the black rooftop, pretty cool. And then we got the Skull Bandit Primary, so that's pretty cool. Todd Bodine Tabasco Fiasco rides. Got the Primary, the green, the red. And then these two are very interesting. This is the Bristol version that ran with Food Lion. Has a lighter bit of an orange. And then this is the later one that ran mostly with drivers like Gary Bradbury as well as Darrell Waltrip after Todd Bodine was released from his ride. Ernie Irvin came over at MB2 Motorsports to drive the 36. Skittles Primary. However, there is a Daytona 500 promo version with a very interesting sponsor on the side, on the quarter panel especially. I don't have it, so it's on my list right now. Got the Skittles Wildberry, the M&Ms. Over to Sterling Marlin with Coors Light. Steve Grissom, Kodiak Chevrolet. This is the last Larry Hendrick diecast ever produced. Joe Nemechek, Bell South, blue, black, and then the real yellow pages. That's a Hot Wheels version. John Andretti, STP. Gridiron, that ran Brickyard. Duralast, that ran Michigan, I think. And then this is the same thing to Duralast, but this one is actually has the we think firefighters. So that was ran actually in coordinates with the fall Daytona race because of the wildfire situation in Florida. Kyle Petty, Blues Brothers 2000 scheme that ran Daytona, the 500 specifically. Got the primary Hot Wheels and then the Gridiron Hot Wheels. Wally Dallenbach, First Union Chevrolet, he got released later in the year by the Coca-Cola 600. Jeff Green took over the ride, and First Union was actually changed to the Money Store. Yeah, this is actually a custom as well. Very easy custom to make, I guess. Don't ask. Ricky Craven, Budweiser, King of Beers. And then the Louis Bud King of Beers, as I stated before, they swapped from 25 to 50 for the 50th anniversary of NASCAR. Number 55 of Hut Strickland, Oakwood Homes Chevrolet. This was the second Andy Petrie racing car they brought to Fall Daytona. Matt Kenseth's first ever Cup attempt at Talladega was washed out. This is the Truck Centers of America Peterbilt Ford Taurus. That's a painted over custom. Worked pretty well. Dave Marcus, Realtree Camouflage. This is another custom. Surprisingly, Marcus did not have a 1998 release at all that year. Number 75, Rick Mast, Remington, Ford Taurus. Robert Presley, Jasper Engines, Transmissions, Ford Taurus. This is a Revell exclusive. And then the Brickyard version is Racing Champions exclusive. Gary Bradbury, number 78, Pilot Travel Centers, Ford Taurus. On to Kenny Wallace's Square D Ford Taurus, primary, and then the electric. Dale Jarrett with Quality Care Service, as well as the Noble Batman. And then on to Dennis Setzer, who actually ran a Thunderbird at Fall Talladega, promoting the McRib. Stupid cord. Dick Trickle, Helig Myers. Two interesting schemes, differ from each other. Green rooftop for one of them. Kevin LePage, First Union Chevrolet. That's a Daytona 500 version. The 91s are all decals from Radke Racing. Former custom maker who kind of went underground because somebody squealed a Lionel and they weren't happy. I want to give Lionel the middle. I've already given them the middle finger too many times already. And then we have what ran the next few rounds unsponsored, and then Sterling Marlin D&Q'd at Atlanta, so Coors Light hopped on board for the number 91. Here's the thing though, Kevin LePage, as stated by Brock Beard, was a damn good qualifier. So if LePage got the car into the show and they had no sponsorship and somebody else couldn't get in the show, they usually attracted those sponsors immediately because they wanted to race. And then there's the Texas unsponsored scheme, and then this is the Coca-Cola 600 scheme. LePage didn't take over Musgrave's ride until I think it was Michigan, was until race 13. So this was one of the last race deals he had with Joe Falk in a nutshell with the 91s. Bill Elliott, McDonald's, and then the Ronald McDonald Mac Tonight, the 50th anniversary. This was exclusive to the 5-pack and 12-packs. Get Back with Big Mac. This ran with both Bill Elliott and Matt Kenseth. Kenseth ran this at Fall Dover when Bill's father passed away all of a sudden. And then this version is actually a McRib version. This ran Fall Talladega. David Green, number 96, Caterpillar Chevrolet. Chad Little, number 97, John Deere Ford Taurus. And then on to the Greg Sachs, Thornapple Valley, Premium Meat, and the Happy Birthday Kale. Kelly Yarborough Racing Cars, of course. Jeff Burton, Exide Batteries, early version, and then the later primary that ran, and then the Bruce Lee car that ran at the Twin Motor Guy. That's all for 1998, though. I'll see you with the 1999 stuff. On to another big year that I added a lot to, and it's the 1999 sets. So we're going to go right onto it. Start off with Buckshot Jones, Crown Fiber Pontiac. Ran a few races in 99. Only Steve Park that I have is the Shark Pennzoil scheme that ran Homestead. But I did add Rusty Wallace's primary Miller Lite. Got the Harley Davidson, Dale Earnhardt with the silver deck lid, the 25th anniversary. Good Wrench Service Plus, it's a nice scheme. The Winston Noble scheme, that's a Winner's Circle exclusive. Bobby Hamilton, Kodak Advantix Systems. Nice car. Terry Labonte, Kellogg's Corn Flakes, and the Kellogg's K-Essentials that ran in the Winston. Rice Krispie Treats. NASCAR Racers partnership with Kellogg's. Mark Martin Valvoline, Eagle 1, Zara. Onto the Michael Waltrip, number 7 Phillips Chevrolet. This is the Klausner car that would be owned, which symbolized the end of Jeff Bodine's involvement with the 7. Jerry Nadeau's WC and WO. And then we have the purple one as well. And the Cartoon Network Wacky Racing, Dexter's Laboratory, Jetsons with the Spread PCS Radio Shack, as well as the WCW Goldberg. Pretty nice. Ricky Rudd, Tide Ford Taurus, Give Kids the World. Brett Bodine Paychecks, Payroll, and 401k. This is the Hot Wheels version. Only the Hot Wheels version has the correct 1999 version, fun fact. Jeremy Mayfield, Mobile One Ford Taurus, 25th anniversary. Kentucky Derby. Boris said, Federated Auto Parts Ford Taurus. One of my buddies, Ricky, did add that Boris name rail, if you can see that right there. So he did a few tweaks to that car. Jeff Green, number 15 Budmore unsponsored car. Billy Kingsley commissioned the 15 Budmore decals. Thanks to him. Kevin LePage TV Guide, Prime Star, and then the TV Guide Pokemon Ford Taurus. This ran Fall Rockingham. And these decals are very impossible to get because one of my buddies, aka Ricky, owns the said decals to make the hood edit, which he says is a pain in the ass. Matt Kenseth's Dewald Ford Taurus. Surprisingly, they made his 1999 Winston Cup car that ran only a few races with the Sport Jack Roush. Bobby Labonte, Interstate Batteries Pontiac. And then this is a cool hood edit custom. This is the MBNA Interstate Batteries Pontiac. This ran mostly all MBNA sponsored races such as Atlanta. NASCAR Racers one as well. That one's pretty cool. Tony Stewart Home Depot, Habitat for Humanity. Elliott Sadler Citgo rookie car. Ward Burton Caterpillar Pontiac. Jimmy Spencer Noble, and Winston Lights. These are some cool cars. Jeff Gordon, DuPont Automotive Finishes, and then this is the one with the Tyvek deck lid. That was a Action carded exclusive. Jeff Gordon, Superman Chevrolet with the chrome, and then we have the Winston. This is Noble, excuse me. That's a Winner's Circle exclusive. NASCAR Racers as well. That's pretty cool. Wally Dallenbach, number 25, Budweiser. Only ran a season with Hendrick and then got fired. Johnny Benson, Cheerios. This one's really cool. So this one used to be a black shell promo, but my buddy Ricky was able to take a 1998 Racing Champions Ford Taurus. He took out the black shell, drilled it completely, and basically replaced the entire black shell with everything, because it actually shares the RDZ bodies that they made for a bunch of those Benson promos from 1998, 1999 share the same style with the Racing Champions. Surprisingly, RDZ was basically a Racing Champions knockoff mold in a nutshell. Toy Story 2 Woody, it's a cool car. Derek Cope, Jimmy Dean sausages. State Fair corn dogs, that's a new one. Well, replaced my older one. We got the Brian, Rudy's Farm. Rudy's Farm is it's like a set exclusive version. Mike Skinner, Lowe's Chevrolet. This is the Revell version, I believe. Yep. And apparently the Revell version is the correct version, so cool. And then we have the Skull, Ken Schrader. And then we have the blue youth version. My buddy Ricky owns the sample prototypes of the red and the blue that apparently existed. He got those from What the Hales, from a storage unit. Pretty cool. Waiting for decals, and I sent a new one already to once decals come in, so I can get a proper Skull one. So this will eventually I'll get rid of. That's a placeholder for now. Ernie Irvan, M&M's Pontiac, and then we have the crispy M&M's Pontiac Pedigree, and then Preview Millennium. This was Jerry Nadeau, as well as the Millennium. This was also ran by Jerry Nadeau after Irvin was injured and retired abruptly during '99. Sterling Marlin, Coors Light, Brooks and Dunn, and then the John Wayne Foundation. Number 41, David Green, Kodiak for Larry, Kodiak tobacco snuff for Larry Hendrick, Joe Nemechek, Bell South Chevrolet for Sabco, John Andretti, STP Pontiac, and then the STP Legacy, I think, car. Yeah, I think it is the Legacy car that ran the Brickyard weekend. Kyle Petty Hot Wheels, as well as the Petty Legacy Buzz Lightyear version for Toy Story 2 that ran Atlanta. Number 45, Rich Bickle. I love that car. That's a really cool paint scheme, and they only made it in the 1/24 scale back in the day, so 1/64 was never produced. Dan Pardis, Midwest Transit Chevrolet. Pretty cool car. Kenny Wallace, Square D Chevrolet. They got the Aerosmith Chevrolet and the NASCAR Racers. Ricky Craven, Turbine Solutions, Hollywood Video. Decals now exist for that one, so I ended up getting Ricky's old one. And then he made me a Hut Strickland Federated Auto Parts one as well. That's pretty cool. Darrell Waltrip, Big Kmart. It's Racing Champions, and then the Route 66 Ford Taurus. That's a Racing Champions NASCAR Rules exclusive version. Dave Marcus, Team Realtree Chevrolet. This is the second to last Dave Marcus 164 released. And then we got the 75, Ted Musgrave, Remington for Butch Mock. Robert Presley, Jasper Engines, Panther. And then we have the number 79 of Andy Belmont. Attempted a few cup races, attempted Michigan and Homestead with the AOL Ford Taurus, number 79. This custom's actually painted over from his ARCA car because the decals that were submitted to Pados is actually missing the "You Have Mail," and it was already on the ARCA promo, so it already made sense to use the ARCA promo as a base, and I was lucky to find another one for a decent deal to make that custom come true. Dilger Quality Care Services, and then the white version. Dick Trickle, number 91 for Joe Falk. That's an unsponsored car. Dave Blaney, number 93, Amico. This ran Michigan. And this is actually the Busch car, but what Ricky did was he stripped the Busch decals and replaced it with Winston Cup logos. So that's actually a decent decal contingency swap custom. Bill Elliott, number 94, McDonald's Ford Taurus. This is actually the only correct version, and it's from the 3D Racing Champions line. QPC, $1 million. And then the Toy Story 2 that ran Atlanta. Chad Little, 97, John Deere Ford Taurus. And we got Rick Mast, number 98, Sonic, America's Drive-In, that ran the 99 Daytona 500. And then the Woody Woodpecker, this was produced in both Team Caliber and Hot Wheels. Jeff Burton X-Side batteries, and then the Noble X-Side batteries. That's it for 1999. We'll see you in the year 2000. Before we move on to the year of 2000, I forgot to mention one car for 1999. I actually had my 2000 set, but it's a 1999 Hot Wheels version, and it's Jeff Bodine's Power Team Chevrolet for Joe Bessie Racing. But we will see you in the year of 2000. On to the 2000 season now. Started off with the 02 of Ryan Newman's Altel Ford Taurus that ran part-time throughout 2000 and 2001, both ARCA, Busch, and Winston Cup. 2000 Steve Park, 2000 Rusty Wallace, Harley Davidson, and then the prelude to the 2001 scheme that ran later in 2000. Dale Sr.'s Tasmanian Devil Good Wrench Parts ran Daytona 500. Earnhardt was eligible for the Noble primary, Peter Max, and then what would be Dale Sr.'s final NASCAR Winston Cup Series victory at Talladega, fall of 2000. Bobby Hamilton, number 4, Kodak Max Film, and then we have the Navy, Terry Labonte early Kellogg's, and then the later ran primary Kellogg's, Fruit Loops, Cherry Berry Swirls, and then the Dr. Seuss, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Ran a few races at the end of 2000. Mark Martin primary from Racing Champions, but it has a little driver. It came with a pit road set. And then we have the Winston Noble Salutes, Eagle One, onto the Michael Waltrip number 7s. We have Nations Rent, and then these two are hood edits, the OmniQuip and Phillips light bulbs. Those ran later in 2000. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Team USA, Budweiser Olympics for the Summer Games in Sydney. Stacy Compton, Kodiak Ford Taurus. That's edit over the youth milling car. You don't see those too often, though, so keep your eye out for the youth versions because they do go for a bit of money. Jeremy Mayfield, Mobile One Ford Taurus. And then the World Series 2000 car. Robbie Gordon, Turtle Wax Ford Taurus. That's a baggy promo. And then the Duracell Ultra Universal Monsters. Mike Bliss, Conseco Pontiac for Foyt Enterprise. Kevin LePage, FamilyClick.com for Taurus. This was ran in the early season, and then we have the later hood version. This is a Team Caliber version. There's another version as well from Team Caliber White Knuckle Collectibles with TV Guide on the quarter panel, but it's very hard to find, sadly. Matt Kenseth, Dewald Ford Taurus, Team Caliber. Then we have the 24 volt, pretty cool. Bobby Labonte, Interstate Batteries Pontiac, and then as from 1999, this is the MBNA hood custom that ran any of the MBNA sponsored events. 2000 All-Star Game, and then the Universal Monsters. Those are pretty cool cars. Tony Stewart Home Depot Pontiac, pretty cool. Elliott Sadler Citgo Ford Taurus, and then you have the decades of the Wood Brothers from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Those all came in a 5-pack. And then the Citgo MDA Ford Taurus. That one is a Team Caliber promo. Ward Burton 2000 Caterpillar Pontiac, and then the Noble Pontiac. I didn't know they made that until I found it randomly. The Caterpillar Cat Dealers Pontiac. This is a pretty cool custom. This is Scott Wimmer's 2000 TDS, or the Decal Source Pontiac. This attempted and ran fall Atlanta. Pretty cool. A bunch of Jeff Gordons. We have the DuPont, Corian, Tyvek, and then Suva. Suva was the one where Gordon got his 50th career Winston Cup Series victory. Pretty cool, though. Winner Circle exclusive as well. And then we have the Millennium Scheme, Reverse Rainbow Warrior Scheme. That's a Revell version. Peanuts 50th Celebration. This one's action, removable chassis, almost like an early version of the club car in a nutshell. Jerry Nadeau, Michael Hulligan, and then we have the Coast Guard. Jimmy Spencer, Travis Carter entry, that's pretty cool. Ricky Rudd Haviline, and then the Marines, that's Ravel version. Mike Skinner Lowe's, Army. Scott Pruitt, Tide Ford Taurus, and then the Give Kids the World, that's a Hot Wheels exclusive. Joe Nemechek, Oakwood Homes Chevrolet for Andy Petrie Racing. I'm missing the Daytona 500 variant. That's from Racing Champions. And then number 35, Bari Italian Foods Chevrolet. This is a custom attempted by Todd Bodine at the Fall 2000 Winston Cup race, the Napa 500. This was pretty much a third Andy Petrie entry. Ken Schrader, M&M's Pontiac with the parts.com. This ran the Daytona 500. And then we have the regular M&M's primary scheme. And then we have the green scheme, 4th of July and Halloween. Pretty cool. Sterling Marlin, Coors Light Chevrolet. And then we have the youth Team Sabco, Texas. They never made a Coors version of that version. However, they did make the Coors versions for both the John Wayne Foundation and Brooks & Dunn. I just have not been able to pick them up yet. Kenny Irwin, Bell South Chevrolet, before his death later in the year of 2000. We lost Adam Petty, Kenny Irwin Jr., as well as Tony Roper. I'm probably thinking of somebody else as well. But those were the primary three that I think about for the year of 2000. John Andretti, Cheerios Pontiac, and then we have the STP secondary scheme, and then we have another STP scheme. This is the Texas version. Hot Wheels exclusive, of course. Wheaties, this ran in the Coca-Cola, this ran during the Winston Open, as well as the Coca-Cola 600. Pop Secret Pontiac, this is a baggy promo that ran at the Pop Secret 400 at Rockingham in the fall. Unfortunately, they never made the actual version. They only made this via the General Mills line of promos. Kyle Petty, Hot Wheels, Pontiac. This is one of my all-time favorite paint schemes because I just love the loop. I love how they use the Hot Wheel track design on that car. Adam Petty, number 45, Sprint Chevrolet. Attempted one race before his death at New Hampshire for Busch Series practice. Kenny Wallace, Square D Chevrolet, pretty cool. Darrell Waltrip, Route 66 Victory Tour. Oh, I'm shaking. What would be the final Dave Marcus 164 releases, the Team Realtree Chevrolet. You can actually make a 2001 edit with the 2000 cars, so I gotta be on the lookout for that in the future. Wally Dallenbach Jr., Powerpuff Girls, Red Cell Batteries. Only Action produced the correct version that ran the Daytona 500. And then we have, for all the wrestling fans are going to love this one, this is the WCW scheme that ran at Las Vegas. And then we have the RotoZip scheme that ran Spring Bristol. Red Cell Batteries, this is an Action promo that ran Talladega, and then the Cartoon Network Red Cell Batteries with Scooby-Doo that ran Darlington for the Mountain Dew Southern 500. Robert Presley, Jasper Engines, Ford Taurus, pretty cool. And then we have the Jasper Panther. I'm missing the Federal Mogul one, which sucks because it's a Racing Champions exclusive via 3-pack. Dale Jarrett, Ford Quality Care Service, Ford Taurus, and then we have the Air Force scheme. That's another one of the early Action Club releases. Ed Barrier, Hillsborough's Coffee for Taurus for Junie Donlavey. Dave Blaney's first full-time Winston Cup season for Bill Davis Racing in the Amoco Siemens Pontiac. Bill Elliott's last year as a car owner, the McDonald's 94, and then we have the silver McDonald's as well. All I'm missing now is the McFlurry one, which is kind of scarce now. No 97s, unfortunately, which sucks, but stay tuned in the future for a future video. Jeff Burton, Exide Batteries, Ford, and then we have the Noble scheme as well. That's all for 2000, though. We will see you in the year of 2001. On to 2001, folks. Let's zoom on in. 01 of Jason Leffler, singular wireless, along with the Special Olympics. I got a second one coming pretty soon that's going to be used for a 04 Leffler custom that ran at Sonoma. 02 Ryan Newman Altel Ford Taurus, same thing with 2000. Newman would run a partial schedule for both Cup, Busch, and ARCA. This is an 09 Jeff Bodine Smirnoff Ice Ford Taurus that ran Fall Bristol. Steve Park Pennzoil Chevrolet. This is the Winter Circle incorrect version, sort of. Wrangler only ran with them for the 500. The number 1 Tweety Bird Sylvester Chevrolet for the Looney Tunes Monte Carlo 400. This was ran by Kenny Wallace instead of Park because Steve Park was injured again. Rusty Wallace Miller Lite motor Harley Davidson Ford Taurus. Dale Earnhardt Sr. Good Wrench Service. Oreo Bud Shootout Scheme, and then the 2001 Daytona 500 Scheme. Rest in peace. Terry Labonte, Terry the Tiger, Kellogg's. And then this one's very interesting. There's 2 versions of this, but I ended up picking up a much more accurate version. This is the 2001 Terry Labonte Kellogg's Honey Frosted Mini Wheats Chevrolet. This was exclusive via the Racing Champions model kit line, where you got a hauler and a car, or you would just get a car. And then we have the Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote. That's pretty cool. Monsters Inc. Scheme that ran later in the year. Team Caliber Mark Martin Pfizer Ford Taurus that would run the spring Rockingham race. Mike Wallace, number 7, Nation's Red Ford Taurus for Ultra. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Budweiser, Revell, and then the Bud All-Star Game, infamous for the Pepsi 400 win. Bill Elliott, Dodge Dealers Dodge. The white number ran not really during the season. It was ran during practice and qualifying. I believe the Twin 125s as well, before it was replaced with the orange number. So the white number was replaced with the orange number overall. Muhammad Ali Scheme, and then this is the only time they ran with the white number, which was the Spider-Man Scheme at Charlotte. Johnny Benson Valvoline Pontiac for MB2 Motorsports, and then this is a hood edit, or roof edit, to the roof, so red 10 instead of the blue 10. This would run some night races in 2001. Brett Bodine Ralph's Ford Taurus. I am missing the red cell batteries version as well. Jeremy Mayfield Mobile One Ford Taurus, and then we have the Sony Wega. Hermie Sadler Score Motorsports Virginia Lottery. This is one of my favorite 2001 cars produced. Had some idiot on Diecast Crazy that wanted me to sell mine. I'm like, no. Ron Hornaday Conseco Pontiac for Foyt Enterprise. Michael Waltrip Napa Chevrolet. This is the Daytona 500 version, and it's a deck lid edit. Deck lid edit has, sorry, you can't really tell, Napa Eklund. And unfortunately, the Race Win version is the only correct other version that they made, so you have to do a custom if you want the real deal. This is the regular primary that would run. This was exclusive via the boxed promo for Napa. This is also a Napa promo. It's the Napa Auto Care Chevrolet. This ran spring Atlanta. And then we have the Napa Salutes. This ran 4th of July, infamous for pushing Dale Jr. to the win at the Pepsi 400. Matt Kenseth, DeWalt, Ray Besso's NASCAR Rookie of the Year. Kenseth won Rookie of the Year in 2000, so he ran this scheme at the Bud Shootout. And then we have the DeWalt primary. And then this one's also really cool. This is the AT&T Ford Taurus. I have no idea what the hell just got on this car, but oh boy. I have no idea what's on this car, but I got to get it off of there. But this was drilled and redone. This used to have a black shell, but it got redone with Team Caliber windows. So pretty cool, actually. I got to see what the fuck is on that thing, though. I don't want to scrape the paint off. Bobby Labonte Interstate Batteries, and then same thing with 1999 and 2000. The MBNA hood. This would run MBNA events, sponsored events. Jurassic Park that ran the Pepsi 400 at Daytona. Coca-Cola scheme that would run the EA Sports 500, infamous for flipping. Same thing with Bill Elliott and Casey Atwood. Atwood would run green numbers for the rest of the season, especially the Mountain Dew Southern 500. This is actually a RCCA version, the nice version, the boxed version. Got that for like $13 off eBay. I was like, man, that was a good deal. And then that's the Spider-Man scheme. Tony Stewart Home Depot primary, Jurassic Park ran Pepsi 400, and the Coca-Cola scheme that ran EA Sports 500. Elliott Sadler Ford Motorcraft. And then I finally got a replacement for my U.S. Air Force car. The original one I got from Mercari came damaged. I was really sad. Elliott Sadler, Motorcraft quality parts. Yellow roof. This is a roof edit. Pretty simple. Ward Burton Caterpillar Dodge. And then the tractors. And then the 9/11 tribute. Pretty cool. Jeff Gordon DuPont. Pepsi, and then I finally replaced my winter circle and got the correct action version. Action version is a chrome version, which Gordon ran with Under the Lights at Richmond. Jerry Nadeau, UAW Delphi Chevrolet. This is a pretty cool one. Jimmy Spencer, Kmart Ford Taurus, and then the Shrek and How the Grinch Stole Christmas VHS release. This is the Jim Carrey one. Onto the Eel River Racing ones. These are customs. Kenny Wallace unsponsored, and then we have I think this is a Rick Mast Duke's Mayonnaise. This ran Bristol, ran throughout majority of the rest of the fall, and then Rick Mast Save-A-Lot Pontiac. This attempted inaugural Kansas, but DNQ'd, and Eel River Racing would shut down very soon afterwards. Ricky Rudd Haviline Ford Taurus, and then we have the Pistons. That's an action version. Need for Speed, pretty cool. Kevin Harvick, reverse scheme that would run Rockingham, and then the red and white scheme that would start running at Atlanta, won there. Tasmanian Devil ran Richmond, America Online that ran Kansas, and then the Reese's Fast Break would run at the finale at New Hampshire. Another custom over here, this is the Jeff Green AOL Chevrolet. Took a 2002 and did a pretty simple edit to it. This is based off the Watkins Glen scheme that ran. And then this is the only Jeff Green Cup version that was produced, and that's the Daffy Duck, America Online, pretty cool. This is a very easy edit. It's a 2001 Mike Skinner that was edited from a 2000, pretty much added the C-pillar sponsor and such. Pretty easy. Mike Skinner, Yosemite Sam that ran Richmond, Fall Richmond. Ricky Craven, Tide Ford Taurus. This was released later in the Hot Wheels line in the 2002 series for some odd reason. Ricky Craven, Give Kids the World, that ran Fall Charlotte, got involved with Rodney Combs in a crash. Joe Nemechek, Oakwood Homes Chevrolet, last year he ran with Andy Petrie. Ken Schrader, M&M's Pontiac, the correct version. Snickers Cruncher. Pedigree, this ran starting at Fontana, 4th of July. This Pedigree scheme, though, ran inaugural Kansas. And then we have the Halloween scheme. Sterling Marlin youth versions. And then we have the practice qualifying car before it's swapped to the red numbers. Kiss card that ran Homestead. John Andre Cheerios Dodge. Hamburger Helper, Pop Secret. Pop Secret ran Pop Secret 400 at Rockingham. And the Honey Nut Cheerios, which ran the Pepsi 400. I do not know why that's basically out of line. We're going to put you back in line. There we go. Buckshot Jones, Georgia Pacific Dodge, early version, and then with building products that ran later in the season. Petty Generations, this ran at Texas. The paper products, though, this is a Team Caliber baggy promo. This ran at Infineon, aka Sonoma. Kyle Petty Sprint Dodge, and then the charity ride across America. It's a pretty cool car, actually. Hobbles did a great job on that car. Jimmy Johnson, first ever Winston Cup start. This was a NASCAR Lionel Authentic release. And then we have the Power of Pride scheme with the white deck lid instead of the blue deck lid that would run at Phoenix. Why did I say Kenny? Bobby Hamilton Sr. Square D Chevrolet, and then we have the Lightning Square D, Marvin Martian, 911, onto Todd Bodine, Blue Light Special, and Route 66. Route 66 ran a little later after the Blue Light Special. Robert Presley Jesper Engines Ford Taurus. This is a very hard car to come by nowadays. It was released only in the 5-pack and single box promo line. And then the Forever in Our Hearts 911 Tribute. Dale Jarrett UPS and We Want to Race the Truck Flames car. Hut Strickland, number 90, Hills Brothers Ford Taurus, the last Junie Donlavey 164 ever released. Stacy Compton, number 92, Kodiak Dodges. These were edited because they originally had Dodge on the deck lid, but it never ran with Dodge on the deck lid. Instead, it would run with gas station sponsors. So this was the Daytona 500 sponsor with Swifty Serves. And then Ingalls ran at the Southern 500. Pretty cool. Dave Blaney Orange Numbers, that ran the Daytona 500. It was also exclusive via 12-car set for Racing Champions. And then we have the regular gold Amoco scheme. I am missing the British Petroleum scheme, which is on my radar. And then we have the Andy Houston number 96 McDonald's Ford Taurus for PPI before they shut that team down. And then Kurt Busch's rookie Sharpie Ford Taurus, and then Jeff Burton's number 99 Citgo Ford Taurus. That's it for 2001, though. On to 2002. We welcome you now to the 2002 Winston Cup season. Let's take a look at what we have. The 02 of Hermes Sadler's Virginia Lottery Chevrolet, being a custom from not from Diecast Buffet, excuse me. 2002 Steve Park Pennzoil Chevrolet, Rusty Wallace, Miller Lite Elvis, that ran Las Vegas. Miller Lite Harley Davidson, Rusty Wallace, pretty cool. Mike Skinner, Kodak Max Film, correct scheme. Yosemite Sam for the Monte Carlo 400 Looney Tunes rematch. Terry Labonte, Tony the Tiger, Cheez-It, ran Las Vegas. Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner, that ran the rematch race. 2002 Mark Martin Viagra, that ran pretty much majority of the season. Pfizer would run only one race, being Spring Rockingham. The Kraft scheme ran majorly night races. Casey Atwood, number 7 Sirius Satellite Radio Dodge. And then we have The Muppet Show 25 Years with Ralph, that ran Chicagoland. Dale Earnhardt Jr. 2002 Budweiser, and 2002 All-Star Game. 2002 All-Star Game was played in Milwaukee, hence why they couldn't put Miller Park on there, because Miller was the sponsor. Then Anheuser. Pretty funny, though. 2002 Bill Elliott, Swedish Chef, Muppet Show 25 Years, that ran Chicagoland as well. Johnny Benson, Valvoline Pontiac, and the Eagle 1. Got a pretty interesting edit coming up in the future for the Eagle 1, so stay tuned on that. 2002 Johnny Benson, Muppet Show 25 Years, Fozzie Bear, that also ran Chicagoland. And then the Max Life. This was produced in both 2001 and 2002. 2002 one is much easier to find than 2001. 2001 being a model kit exclusive. And then we have the Zara that ran both 2001 and 2002. Stay tuned on that. I got one in the works for a 2001 edit. And then the 2002 Johnny Benson, University of Kentucky, NCAA champions for basketball. Pretty cool. Or 100 years, or 100. I think that's just their school anniversary of how long they've been in the NCAA for basketball. Brett Bodine, Hooters Ford Taurus, that came on board in Atlanta. I don't know why these are swapped around. Number 1. There we go. Try that again. 2002 Brett Bodine Wells Fargo Financial Ford Taurus, that ran the Daytona 500. And then going into Atlanta with basically no sponsorship, Hooters jumped on board to sponsor Brett Bodine, and they would run the iconic Alan Kowicki paint scheme, and they would run it from 2002 through a bit of 2003 till they pulled out of the sport entirely. Ryan Newman, number 12 Ford Altel Taurus, that's a Hot Wheels version. Stacy Compton, 14 Pontiac for Conseco, for Foyt Enterprise. Number 15, Michael Waltrip, Napa Chevrolet for DEI. This one's a very old custom that I acquired from one of my buddies' collections that I would end up becoming really good buddies with in the community, from Ricky's former collection. Well, not really former, he upgraded his, but it's a 2002 Greg Biffle Ford Taurus that would attempt the Daytona 500. Matt Kenseth Dewald Ford Taurus, that's a Hot Wheels version, and then we have the $1 Million Challenge, that's Team Caliber. Bobby Labonte Interstate Batteries Pontiac, and just like with 1999, 2000, and 2001, we have the 2002 MBNA Hood version. Pretty cool. Then we have the Muppet Show 25 Years with Pepe, the Let's Roll Pontiac that ran at Fall Dover, the Banquet Frozen Meals Pontiac that would run Kansas, Jeremy Mayfield number 19 Dodge Dealers Dodge, pretty cool. And then we have Professor Honeydew and Beaker for the Muppet Show 25 Years that also ran Chicagoland. Tony Stewart Home Depot with the blue Phillips deck lid that ran the first the next 3 through 6 races at the beginning of the season before it swapped over to the white Phillips deck lid as shown there. 2002 Tony Stewart Home Depot Great Pumpkin Night Scheme that ran Fall Bristol, and then the Dusk Scheme would actually run Fall Atlanta. Elliott Sadler 2002 Motorcraft Ford Quality Parts Ford Taurus. These are very, very hard to find, actually, surprisingly. So you got to keep your eye out on these for sure. But this is the Team Caliber one. There's also a Racing Champions one, but that's even harder to find. And then we have the Elliott Sadler Air Force Ford Taurus. This is the more common one to find out of the bunch. 2002 Ward Burton Caterpillar Dodge Dealers Dodge, pretty cool. Caterpillar Flames that ran Fall Bristol, infamous for Ward's interview against Dale Earnhardt Jr. Hut Strickland's number 23 Hills Brothers Dodge, being a second Bill Davis Racing entry. They swapped from 93 to 23 for the 2002 season. Hut Strickland was fired by the end of the season, though, for Kenny Wallace, who came over. Jeff Gordon, number 24 DuPont Chevrolet, and then the DuPont 200 Years scheme ran the Daytona 500. Got the Pepsi 4th of July scheme, one of my all-time favorite Jeff Gordon paint schemes, and then the Looney Tunes rematch scheme. Unfortunately, Gordon wrecked this car in practice and did not bring a backup. He only brought his DuPont scheme, which he actually ran and won with. So that was very cursed, I guess. Number 25, Jerry Nadeau, UAW Delphi Chevrolet. And then Nadeau was also fired from his ride for underperforming and replaced with Joe Nemechek. Nemechek, who would lose his ride at Travis Carter after Kmart filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy early 2002. He would run the UAW Delphi 25 throughout the rest of 2002 into 2003. But as I kind of jumped ahead to Joe Nemechek, we have the Kmart School Spirit Ford Taurus that ran the first 2 races of the season before Kmart announced Chapter 11 bankruptcy, pulling completely out of Travis Carter's funding. Nemechek would run this blank scheme at Las Vegas before he was released for paid drivers. And then Todd Bodine, who we'll get to later, would end up taking over the 26 with backing from Discover Credit Card. Number 28 of Ricky Rudd, Haviland Ford Taurus. Then we have the Gonzo the Great Muppet Show 25 Years. Ran Chicagoland. Ricky Rudd, Iron Man 656 consecutive starts. This one is actually very interesting because the Winter Circle one is the more accurate because of the chevron decal that's on the Winter Circle version than the Action version, which is missing. Number 29, Kevin Harvick, GM Goodwrench Service Chevrolet, and then we have the ET that ran Spring Bristol. Goodwrench Dealers now sell tires that ran, I believe, the All-Star, but the Winston. Kevin Harvick 911 Tribute Scheme. That would, I think that was New Hampshire that it ran at. Yeah, it was New Hampshire. Kevin Harvick, Tasmanian Devil. That would be ran at Fall Richmond, of course, for the Looney Tunes rematch. I pulled out my Jeff Green number 30 AOL because it's actually incorrect, which I was really shocked to find out. So I'm getting a custom one in the future, so stay tuned on that. But anyways, we have the Scooby-Doo AOL. That's for the live-action Scooby-Doo. Simple Plan was featured in the movie, did a bunch of the music. Ran Chicagoland as well. And then we have the Daffy Duck AOL Chevrolet for the Looney Tunes rematch at Fall Richmond. Robbie Gordon Singular Wireless Chevrolet, and then the Pepe Le Pew. Same thing with the Daffy Duck. That ran as well at the Looney Tunes rematch in Fall Richmond. 32 of Ricky Craven, the Tide Ford Taurus, and then the Clean Breeze. This ran a few races throughout spring of 2002. Andy Petrie Racing's second entry with Mike Wallace, the Auto Liv Chevrolet. This ran the Daytona 500. Talladega, though, would run the Preen Pesticide Chevrolet. This is a promo. Did wreck, though, in the big one at the Aaron's 499. Ken Schrader 2002 M&M's Pontiac, pretty cool car, and then the M&M's Vote. This ran a few races where you were able to vote on a new color for the M&M. 4th of July, and then the M&M Vote winner was purple. The purple scheme would run Fall Bristol. 2002, Ken Schrader Halloween M&Ms, and then the Combos Pontiac, that ran Fall Charlotte. Youth Sterling Marlin, don't care, gonna get a Coors one eventually. Jimmy Spencer, number 41, Target Dodge for Chip Ganassi, and then we have the Animal Muppet Show 25 years, that ran Chicagoland. Energizer Battery car, that ran Fall Kansas. 2002, John Andretti Cheerios Dodge, and the Star Wars Episode 2 Dodge ran the Winston Open and Coca-Cola 600. 2002, Honey Nut Cheerios Dodge. Surprisingly, this one was never made in the Hot Wheels version either. This is a General Mills exclusive one. And the same things will be for the Box Tops Education. This ran Brickyard for the Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis. Pillsbury Grands one, it's another General Mills one, that ran Fall Charlotte. The original Chex Party Mix, this ran Homestead, and actually did run with the original 43 on the roof, which NASCAR's not really too keen to wording right next to the number on the roof, but being it Richard Petty, they basically cave in. John Andretti Pop Secret Dodge Charger, this ran Fall Rockingham. I don't know why that was in front of there. We're going to fix that, though, real quick. Oh, my goodness. The 44, infamous for rotating drivers all around. Buckshot Jones was fired, and he was basically replaced with a mixture of drivers such as Steve Grissom, Jerry Nadeau, who almost won Sonoma before having a part failure with a couple laps to go, as well as Greg Biffle would also drive a few races for Petty Enterprises, along with Christian Fittipaldi. This one, though, is very interesting, though. This is the Brawny Dodge. I was not aware that they made a Hot Wheels variant until I saw a few come up on the market, picked one up. Might get a new one in the future because this one's kind of yellowing, but these are very rare to come by. Number 45, Kyle Petty Sprint Dodge, and then the Charity Ride Across America, pretty cool. Jimmy Johnson's first full-time rookie season, got the Lowe's Power of Pride, and the Sylvester Tweety Bird for the Looney Tunes 400 rematch at Fall Richmond. The 49, oh, this is another very infamous year. The first full-time season for BAM Racing, or Beth Ann Morgan Racing, as it's pronounced. Shauna Robinson would begin the season driving for the team before she was released for a bunch of drivers. I mean, I could try and name all of them, but one of them that really comes to mind is Stacy Compton. This is actually another older custom from one of Ricky's sets that he allowed me to buy off of him. Pretty cool, though. That ran Fall Talladega. Second entry for Foyt Enterprise for the Brickyard 400. PJ Jones attempted the 50 Conseco Pontiac. He DNQ'd. This one's also another contingency edit. This is the Kevin Grubb 54 Toys R Us Chevrolet that attempted Spring Richmond. This also DNQ'd. Number 55, Bobby Hamilton Square D, Schneider Electric, and then this was actually never ran by Bobby Hamilton. This is actually Greg Biffle who ran this scheme. Hamilton was recovering from injury, so Greg Biffle drove the 55 for a few races in the fall of 2002. Number 59, Bobby Gerhardt Daytona 500 attempt, DNQ'd. Number 66, early season Todd Bodine. Number 66, Kmart Ford Taurus. It's pretty nice, actually. Number 67, Boris Said, Jasper Engines. This was a second Jasper car they brought for Boris Said to attempt both Sonoma and Watkins Glen making both races. Dave Blaney, number 77, Jasper Engines, Ford Taurus, that's pretty cool. Stan Hoover, number 80, Ford Taurus. This is the Hooters Ford Taurus. Kirk Shelmerdine attempted the Daytona 500. Unfortunately missed the show. Carl Long, number 85, Dodge for Mansion Motorsports. Pretty cool car. This is another custom that NAS no, oh my god, not NAS. Oh my god, why did I say that? Oh, freaking Diecast Buffet made this custom as well. Kudos to Garrett for making that. Dale Jarrett, 2002 UPS Ford Taurus, and then the Kermit and Miss Piggy, Muppet Show 25 years. Hank Parker Jr. USG Sheetrock promo that ran a little later in 2002 and would be actually an experimental car with Ray Evernham, as he would have Atwood and then Bill Elliott drive it from 2004 to 2005 pretty much. Kurt Busch, 2002 Rubbermaid Ford Taurus, and then we have the Sharpie Ford Taurus, the Win $1 Million. Kurt won that at Spring Bristol for his first career win. The Little Tikes Ford Taurus, this is one of my favorite 2002 schemes, as well as I grew up with one of those cars when I was a kid. Rubbermaid Commercial Products, that's another really cool car. Kenny Wallace, number 98, Stacker 2 Chevrolet. This is an early Michael Waltrip Racing entry that would become eventually Michael Waltrip Racing. Jeff Burton Citgo, 2002 Ford Taurus, pretty cool. And then we have the Peel Out, Reel In, and then the Bassmaster. But yeah, that's it for 2002, and I will see you for the final year in 2003. On to the final year of 2003. Start off with the 01 of Jerry Nadeau, the U.S. Army Pontiac, and the USG Sheetrock. Nadeau would go over to MB2 the following year for 2003. 04 Kodak Easy Share Pontiac. This is a David Rudiman 2003 custom. Pretty simple though. Remove the 4, add the 04 decals. Pretty easy. 0 of Jack Sprague for Haas CNC. Jack Sprague's first full-time rookie season, and he was out of his ride by the end of the year. Steve Park, number 1 Pennzoil Chevrolet with the DEI deck lid logo that ran mostly the Daytona 500 and other super speedway events. And then the regular Pennzoil without the DEI deck lid. Rusty Wallace Miller Lite Dodge. This is actually not the primary, but this is the 600 starts. I'm actually missing the primary. And then we have the Goo Goo Dolls. This ran the Chevy Rock and Roll 400, which replaced the Looney Tunes rematch. And then the Winston Cup Salute, or Victory Lap, excuse me. That's the Victory Lap scheme that would run later in the year. Mike Skinner, Kodak Perfect Touch Pontiac, and then the Easy Share. Mike Skinner would also be out of his ride by the end of the year. Terry Labonte with the Tony the Tiger, and Cheese It that ran Las Vegas. Power of Cheese, Finding Nemo scheme that ran Chicagoland. To Mark Martin, the Viagra Ford Taurus, and then the Pfizer that ran Spring Rockingham. The Gold Viagra, and then the reverse scheme. Pretty cool. Second row over here, Jimmy Spencer, Sirius Satellite Dodge. Pretty cool. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Daytona 500 scheme with the DEI deck lid on the back. The Budweiser Chicago All-Star game that was played at Guaranteed Rate Field, or what is the Chicago White Sox Stadium today. Bill Elliott, Dodge Power Days. This was ran at the Shootout. And then we have the regular Dodge dealers, and then the Lion King Disney DVD that ran Kansas. Johnny Benson Valvoline Pontiac, and the Eagle One Pontiac. Those are cool. Brett Bodine, Hooters Ford Taurus. This ran for majority of the season until Hooters backed out during the summer. And then we have the Alan Kulwicki tribute scheme as well. Well, not really tribute, but more like remembrance. Basically, memorial scheme. Ryan Newman, Altel Dodge, pretty cool. It's a Hot Wheels. Michael Waltrip, Daytona 500 with the DEI deck lid, pretty cool. And then the blank version. Napa Nilla Wafers that ran in the Winston. and the Coca-Cola 600, and then the Hootie and the Blowfish, which ran the fall Richmond race for the Chevy Rock and Roll 400. Greg Biffle's Granger Ford Taurus. This was Biffle's first full-time season in Cup. Matt Kenseth, the 2003 Winston Cup champion, and then the final Winston Cup champion is at that. That's the DeWalt Ford Taurus. That's on the Hot Wheels body. Bobby Labonte, Interstate Batteries, Chevrolet, pretty cool. And then same thing with the Bill Elliott Dodge Power Days. This is Jeremy Mayfield's Dodge Power Days. This also ran in the Bud Shootout. And then on the next row, we have Jeremy Mayfield's Primary, pretty cool. Tony Stewart, Home Depot Chevrolet, and Declaration of Independence Road Trip Chevrolet. That ran a little later in the year. Most ran the Pepsi 400 more like. Ricky Rudd, Ford Motorcraft Ford Taurus. He and Elliott Sadler swapped rides after the season. Sadler went to Yates. Rudd went to Wood Brothers. And then he would also have the Air Force scheme. And then this is the consecutive 755 starts, I believe. And then this is the 100th anniversary of the Ford Motor Company. Pretty cool. Even funnier how the Ford family still owns the Lions. I still think of it as a literal joke because they ran that organization as a shit show for a long time, since the 1960s. Ward Burton, Caterpillar Dealers Dodge, and then the Cat Rental Store. Those are pretty cool. Kenny Wallace Stacker 2 Dodge. That's on the Team Caliber body. And then the YJ Stinger. Jeff Gordon, number 24 DuPont Chevrolet, and the Pepsi Chevrolet as well. And then this is the Wright Brothers Chevrolet that ran the Winston and Coca-Cola 600, Pepsi $1 billion Chevrolet, and then the Winston Victory Lap. Joe Nemechek UAW Delphi Chevrolet, Kevin Harvick Goodwrench Chevrolet, and the Snap-on Chevrolet. Almost mistook that for the shootout scheme, but it's not. On to the next row. We have Jeff Green's number 30 AOL Chevrolet, as well as Steve Park's AOL Chevrolet that was produced later. Steve Park and Jeff Green swapped rides, and what would happen is basically Jeff Green would also be fired from his ride at DEI in the 1 car and would actually move over to the 43 later in the year, and that's a whole different story for another later in this video. Well, coming up soon. Robbie Gordon's number 31 Singular Wireless Primary, pretty cool. Ricky Craven Tide Pontiac, that's the Primary from the Hot Wheels line. Tide Bleach, that's the Ricky Craven, yet again, Racing Champions, and then Give Kids the World. That's on the Racing Champions body as well. It was exclusive to that. Paul Menard's number 33 Turtle Wax Menard's Chevrolet for Andy Petrie Racing. Menard attempted 2 races that year. He attempted both road course races, missed Sonoma, but he made the show at Watkins Glen, and the crew ended up trashing the hauler so badly that they towed the car back to the shop on an open flatbed. Fun story. Here's a very interesting custom, actually. This only attempted 2 races, but it was very interesting nonetheless. Team Renzi's number 35 Wawa Ford Taurus, driven by Bobby Hamilton Jr. This would attempt and run both Atlanta and Kansas, but this car is based off the Kansas version, which is pretty cool. You can make the Atlanta version, it just requires more decals. Number 38, Elliott Sadler M&M's Ford Taurus, pretty cool. This is a very hard to come by promo itself. Elliott Sadler's Combos Ford Taurus from Racing Champions. This was exclusive via Mars employees. So I can even show the box as well. This is what the box looks like. Pretty cool. It looked like somebody put a thumbtack in there and stuck it to the wall. That's just how I got it, though. I got it from one of my buddy's collections. And we got the Groovy Summer 38 as well. This is the club version with the deck lid opening. Pretty cool. This is the M&M's Halloween car. Pretty cool. This is my only Winston Cup Sterling Marlin with the Dodge body. That's a Coors Light car. This is the 2003 club car, and it's super nice. Another rare 2003 car to find is Casey Mears' rookie scheme from 2003. He replaced Jimmy Spencer after Spencer was let go from Chip Ganassi Racing. Jamie McMurray Haviland Dodge and the Terminator 3 Dodge as well. And then the 43s, where do we begin? The 43 Cheerios Dodge of John Andretti, Christian Fittipaldi, Scott Maxwell, and Jeff Green. The Pillsbury Dodge, that was actually ran by John Andretti at Texas. The 43 Barry Burst Cheerios Dodge ran and attempted both the Pepsi 400 at Daytona and Kansas, DNQ'd with Shane Meal out of all drivers at Summer Daytona, but Jeff Green made the show at Kansas with the scheme. And then on to the next row. This is another exclusive via the GM promo line that you would get with whatever, especially if I think this was probably top secret most likely, but this is the Box Tops Education Dodge. This was ran and attempted by Christian Fittipaldi, but he missed the show at Indianapolis for the Brickyard 400, and he would be basically released from his ride before the end of 2003. These Cheerio Dodge deck lids are very interesting, though, because they actually have different corporates on the back, which some are fantasy and some were actually ran. So, for example, good Lord. The Kroger version right here, as you're seeing it right now, that was ran by Jeff Green at Fall Martinsville after he took over the 43. And then the Bosch's was actually ran at Phoenix as well. Pretty cool. Another Petty Enterprise car was the 44 that was used for a bit of the year with Christian Fittipaldi, especially. This is the Bugles Racing Dodge. This used to be a black shell promo, but my buddy was able to drill it and redo the entire thing, getting rid of the black shell and replacing it with clear windows, as well as getting rid of the plastic tires for authentic rubber tires. And decals also came out, which allowed him to do the deck lid, both the deck lid and the TV panel, which were left bare on the promo itself. So that's actually a really cool redone edit of what was a black shell promo. Kyle Petty, Georgia Pacific Dodge, and then the Brawny Dodge, pretty cool. Garfield, 25 years. Hands to Victory, that ran Sonoma. Jimmy Johnson, Lowe's Chevrolet, and then the Power of Pride. And there's the SpongeBob car. That car ran the Pepsi 400 as well. OLE Productions. I have it. Oh my god, this thing is so fucking blurry. What the fuck? It's coming, Ellie. It's coming. I'm such a dick. 54 Todd Bodine, that's a Bell car from Travis Carter. Number 60, Brian Vickers, Haas Automation Chevrolet. Number 74, Tony Raines Base Motorsports Chevrolet. They would actually attempt the Cup Series that season and would go back to Busch Series shortly after with Tony Raines. Dave Blaney, Jasper Engines, Jasper Ford Taurus, and then the Fast and the Furious. Later in the year, they actually started running Dodges because they were being absorbed by Penske out of all teams. And Ford was very unhappy, so they basically left, and they ran Dodges for pretty much the rest of the year in the fall of 2003. Jason Keller, number 81, Kraft 100 Years Chevrolet. This attempted Chicagoland and DNQ'd. Kind of like DEI's answer to the whole Project 91 car in a nutshell, if you understand that memo or example. Number 88, Dale Jarrett, UPS Ford Taurus. This is actually the early version of the car before they changed the UPS logo 6 races into the season. And then this is the regular primary that was ran for the rest of the year. And then we have the UPS store and the Winston Victory Lap. Pretty cool. Kurt Busch Rubbermaid Ford Taurus. That's pretty cool. Infamous for the closest finish with Ricky Craven at Spring Darlington. Carolina Dodge Dealers 400. It's such a classic. Go check it out. And then we have the Sharpie Silver Scheme. Pretty cool. The last custom that I have to show is actually another really cool one. This is a third Robert Yates entry that was entered and driven by Dale Jarrett's kid, Jason Jarrett. And he ran pretty well. He actually finished like 18th or 20th at the EA Sports 500. Not bad. Unfortunately, he wouldn't catch much on and would be out of the sport very quick by 2006, 2007. And it was mostly ARCA races that he ran for the rest of his career. Jeff Burton, Citgo, Ford Taurus, and that's basically it. I want to thank you so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell for brand new videos. I will see you in the next diecast video or review whenever. This is my thanks for over 700 subscribers. I don't know how much more appreciation this is getting. I just want to thank everybody for the views, commenting, and basically allowing me to be part of this diecast community. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Take care, have a good one, and keep on collecting.